So today I want to talk about relationships, and while I'm kind of focusing on romantic ones, I think a lot of this can apply to just any relationship in your life. So do with that what you will. Also, you're probably like, you're 18 years old, you're a baby. I'm 4 years old.
I'm 4 years old.
I know I'm the youngest person ever, okay?
You're the youngest person ever.
But I think I still have some valuable things to say despite my age, okay? And I've had a million friendship breakups. I've had romantic breakups. I've watched my mom's breakups multiple times. So I think I'm a little bit qualified, okay? The first thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about is that any reason can be a reason to break up with someone. I think a lot of people wait for a big reason and they're like, well, they've done this and this and this, but that's not a reason to break up. But it's like, you don't need a reason to break up with someone. And this is not to say like if your boyfriend makes one mistake, break up with him. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But even just you being in a relationship and not wanting to be in that relationship anymore, or in a relationship in general, is a reason to break up. Don't wait for that reason. If you're thinking that you want to break up with someone for whatever reason, that reason is valid. And honestly, most of the time, that's your intuition. So listen to your intuition. I'm not talking about like OCD thoughts, just anxious thoughts, like thoughts that are coming because of your trauma. Like you being like, oh my gosh, I have to break up with them before they break up with me. Like, that is a different situation, and I understand that too, but that's not what I'm talking about in this scenario. The second thing I want to talk about is that you should be making sacrifices for any relationship, friendship, or romantic, or familial, whatever, but you shouldn't be the only one making sacrifices, if that makes sense. I think it's okay if you're like, I really don't like playing these games, but my boyfriend likes these games, so I play with him sometimes just so that we can have some quality time. And then sometimes you're like, yeah, I really wanted to watch this show. My boyfriend doesn't like reality TV, but we're gonna watch it. Also, I didn't need for that to be gender stereotypes, but ignore. But it's different when it's like, I'm changing my schedule every week just so that we can hang out because we're only planning on his schedule, and that is, take it from me,
Draining.
you will be burnt out. You will still feel not enough, and you're like, why am I the only one that's changing things? If somebody likes you, they will compromise, they will sacrifice, and they will find a way. I promise. One thing that I keep seeing a lot on social media is like hate about having friends that are your same gender, or just the gender that you're attracted to. For example, in a straight relationship, a guy having girlfriends or a girl having guy friends, and I don't agree with it. I think one of the main components in a relationship is trust and communication. So if your partner has a girlfriend and your immediate thought is, you can't have that girlfriend or else you will cheat on me, then either there's a problem in your relationship and you don't trust your partner, and your partner maybe isn't a good partner if you think that they're gonna cheat on you, or you need to work on yourself because you're way too insecure.
You're insecure.
And I'll tell you from experience, no matter how much you police someone, no matter how strict you are, how you don't let them have girlfriends, they're gonna find a way. Like, it's the same concept as like strict parents cause sneaky kids. If they have it in their hearts to cheat, if they're that kind of person, they're gonna do it. And there's absolutely nothing that you can do to change that, which is kind of a hard pill to swallow, I will admit, but I think it's also really refreshing when you're really thinking about cheating, and like, it does, like, you are an ex. And what do I mean by that? Let's go back to math for a second. You are the variable. You could be any girl, he would still cheat on you. So it's not you, it's him. Does that make sense? this lesson, I think, is one that is very applicable to any of your relationships, no matter what they are. This year, I've really had to work on implementing and remembering that good people can do bad things and bad people can do good things. And I think that that's something that you really have to think about when you're analyzing a situation and figuring out how you're gonna respond to it. I have to go to this fire drill. Okay, I'm back. The alarms work. That's for fucking sure. Anyway, like I was saying, I think it's very valuable when you're looking at how you're gonna respond to a situation, because sometimes I get way too mad at people for something that's an honest human mistake, and sometimes I don't get mad enough at something that is a attack and just not okay. And sometimes I let those things slide and then it bites me later. So I don't know if that's helpful to anyone else, but it's definitely been helpful for me, especially since I have a lot of intrusive thoughts almost, where if someone does something to me, I'm like, oh my god, they're manipulating me, they're a bad person. Wait, what if they do this to me? What if everything that I tell them, they tell someone else, like just because they made one little mistake? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to stop being their friend. Like, and that's not always helpful. That's not always what I should do. Hi, I'm editing, and I just wanted to add that it's also not helpful on the opposite side of it if a bad person does something good and you're like, well, I know they did this to me, but now they bought me ice cream. That's also not good to like excuse their actions just because they did one nice thing to you. Something that I like to think about in my relationships, and this goes for friendships too, like I said a million times, when it comes to loving someone, the reason why we talk about love languages so much is because you should both be pandering to each other's love languages. You should both be trying to fulfill those love languages. And obviously you're going to love primarily in your love language because that's how you feel and express love best. Like for me, I'm really big on writing, like I guess words of affirmation. And I mean, my boyfriend doesn't hate writing, but I mean, he doesn't enjoy it as much as I do, but he will still write me notes, and he has like a little notebook that he writes to me in, and he will send me text. You know, I hear a lot of people talk about how communication is key, and that is 100% true, but I don't hear anyone expressing how you can improve or even just implement that into your relationship. So I'm gonna try to do that a little bit, because it took me a long time to actually realize what true healthy communication is and what it specifically looks like for me and what it specifically looks like for my relationship. For example, finding something that works for you, what I do is genuinely, after I get upset, whether it's justified or not, whether they actually did this intentional or not, I always need time to process before I can communicate. And that doesn't mean that I'm bad at communication. It just means that that's what I need in order to get to that. Some people need to talk about it right away, or else they're just gonna dwell on it or whatever. And that's what they need for them. But like I said, for me personally, I have to take a minute, process my thoughts on my own with myself, think of, hey, what's the root cause for this emotion? What triggered this emotion? Am I actually upset at the thing that my partner did or my friend did or my whoever did? Or am I upset because what they did reminded me of something that my mom used to do when I was little? And then assessing that and taking that in and being like, okay, I'm not actually mad that my boyfriend asked me to repeat myself 7 times. I'm just upset because I never felt heard as a kid. And so now that's a trigger for me because I feel like he's not listening. And so how do I turn that into real communication, healthy communication? Me personally, I take my time to process that. But again, could be different for you. And then I go to him and I say, hey, I felt ignored and not heard when you asked me to repeat myself a couple times, to be honest. And, you know, if he's also trying to strive for healthy communication, then he will say something like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to make you feel like that, and I'm sorry that I did. Really, I just couldn't hear you and you weren't speaking loud enough. And then you guys can come to a solution. Just try not to say, you did this and you're bad. Just try to be like, this is what you did. This is how it made me feel. This is what I would prefer. So then in that scenario, maybe our solution would be, I'm gonna talk louder and I'm gonna try to pay more attention, or I'm gonna ask for clarification before you're done finishing your story. Also, I don't know who needs to hear this, but arguing and having disagreements is 100% normal. In fact, I would even go as far as to say, if you're not having any arguments, something might be wrong. I was in a relationship where we really didn't fight at all, and every time I brought up a problem to him, he would be like, oh yeah, you're totally right, I'll fix it, and then just never fix it. And he would also never bring anything up to me, which made me obviously think that I was doing nothing wrong and that we were good. And then he would just build up resentment until he just broke up with me out of nowhere. Like, it just keep that in mind. And arguing does not equal fighting, in my opinion. Arguing does not equal yelling, and arguing does not equal hitting or anything of that sort. There's a difference between, we are arguing because we are humans and we are in a relationship, whether this is a friendship or romantic, and that's just gonna happen. If you truly love someone, you will hurt them, and if they truly love you, they will hurt you. And I don't want that twisted, because I don't mean that in any way condoning like domestic violence or any kind of abuse, because that's not what I mean. I mean stuff like, hey, I didn't know that that was a trigger for you, and I just said it, and I didn't know that that wasn't okay with you, but now I'm gonna not do that anymore so that that doesn't upset you anymore. That kind of hurt. I hope any of this was useful to you and that the background noise and disruptions didn't make this video terrible. But thanks for watching, and please comment your thoughts. Even if you're disagreeing with me, I really love reading the comments. Thank you. Bye.